What's up, y'all? Welcome back to Dolphins Daily, your daily dose of Dolphins content. And a thank you to Kalshi, who is sponsoring this video. Remember, download the Kalshi app today and use promo code FanArchFootball to get $10 when you trade 10. Let's talk about the Dolphins. The Dolphins are making more moves. The free agent moving of the Dolphins has kind of been crazy to me because my understanding was we were kind of set on the team. Like, we're all right, we're good. There were a couple injuries that precipitated some of these moves, but it also seems like they're not fully satisfied with the roster. I mentioned on the show earlier this week that our roster is a little bit in flux because our money's in flux. Our money's not good, so you got to go figure it out somehow. We're getting out the mud, right? So the Dolphins have done a lot of. I'm not going to call it poaching because that feels negative, but they've been out here poaching. It's like the Dolphins have been poaching. The Dolphins have said basically if you play for Green Bay in the last 4 years, it might be up. Like it's a very clear line of you played at Green Bay. We were all at Green Bay a year ago. We like our Green Bay people, and yes, we're scouring the depths of the leagues and the UFL and overseas to get right players. But we also really like Green Bay, Wisconsin, and we're gonna try to grab some people from there, right? So Carrington Valentine is a late round corner that they picked up, I would assume, to be a special teams guy a few years ago. And what happened is he actually turned out to be a reasonably good player to the point that he's played in two of the last three seasons in every game at some point. And I don't think you pick a sixth or seventh round corner and think, oh, this guy's going to play every game this season. That's not, that's like a, oh my God, that worked out situation. He is not like a Pro Bowler, not an All Pro, not a star. What he is a very solid, cheap NFL secondary player. Got a few years of experience. I don't know if he will ever be more than maybe a DB3, maybe a low end DB2, maybe, but I don't see him being like Pro Bowl All Pro kind of guy. He is the ultimate kind of glue guy for your secondary. You put him out there and he's going to make plays. He's good tackling. He gets a couple picks a year. He's going to play a lot of games in a lot of different positions. He just is a guy you kind of want. Now, I don't know why Green Bay will move off of him. I didn't really see any tell for that. I'm thinking that maybe his contract's about to end. That makes sense, and they don't want to play. They don't want to pay him like an extension. So maybe let's trade him now, recoup more than we could pay for him in a draft. They might be able to get a fourth round pick for him. So if we can get a decent pick back, we get some utility back for our guy we're going to lose for nothing next year. They don't seem to be too interested in extending him at the moment. And so this is their way of trying to get some value out of him before he leaves. I think Cincinnati and Dallas were the two teams that also reached out to him. So if three teams are reaching out to you, I think there was like a little bat signal that went out around the league saying, "Hey, could be available. Come name your price." And we know Cincinnati's had an awful defense for a few years now. Dallas actually has a pretty good defensive front. Their secondary a little dicey, which is why they got Caleb Downs in the first round because they don't know what they're doing over there. So I think they all are in the market. Now, obviously, the Dolphins and Green Bay have a whole pipeline. We know what we're doing here. We don't have, I don't know what Green Bay, I don't know what a Dallas and Cincinnati's salary cap looks like. I feel like Cincinnati has to be over the cap at this point. They not only added like six guys on their team, but they're paying three guys like 40% of their cap. I don't know how they would even have money. But Dallas has been talking about making moves, but they sound like they want to make a big move. So this would actually be a smart move for them, but they don't. That's how Dallas moves generally. I would think if he's going to be traded, the Dolphins have to be a leader in the clubhouse just because of relationships. We all know this is a very relationship driven league. The world is relationship driven. Like that's how some people get jobs. That's how people get put in certain places. We are connected to the Green Bay organization. So if they're going to move him, the question would be what would Miami give up for him? I think anything higher, it depends. I'll say that. If you think he's going to be a starting corner, then I'm fine giving up like a fourth round pick. Like, and then maybe franchising him for a year and then seeing what he could be. Because you got to think him at what, 25 as a starting corner feels like a pretty good age range that matches the team timeline a little bit. If you think, oh, we just need some depth in the room, I'm offering a seventh, maybe a one of my sixes. Like I'm not going higher than that because those are picks that are not throwaway picks, but those are picks that are normally used for people to round out the roster. You're taking a chance on somebody. If they believe in him and he's had a couple of years that you can just point to, he's not like a completely unproven commodity. I don't think you can go lower than a fifth realistically. And I think if there's other teams bidding who really want him, you might have to jump up to a fourth. But if you think he's going to be a starting corner along with Chris Johnson, then if those are your two starting corners and you figuring out with Juju and Ethan and the rest of those guys are trying to figure that third position, James Marshall, those kind of dudes, then Marco, if you think he can be the starting second corner, then go get him. Period. If you don't know, then I'm throwing the six. I'm dangling the six. Like, hey, it's not bad. You got something back, and then we'll see if we'll see how Green Bay moves on from that. But yeah, I think it's something to consider. I think our secondary is not generally produced particularly good play so far, and we've had a lot of injuries. So there are guys who have been injured that might eventually play well this year, but we don't know because they're hurt. This may be those guys may be more hurt than we know them to be. So the Dolphins are like, let me go make a move now because we think these guys may be out for more than a couple weeks. Totally possible. Or those guys aren't that hurt, but they're not that good either. So let's go get somebody we think is pretty good. We'll see. I'm looking forward to seeing how high we decide to jump for this because I do think this is going to be a bidding situation, and I do think Green Bay has made it known they're open for business. So it really just depends on what we offer them. In addition to working out Carrington, we worked out like six different guys today. A couple were UFL quarterbacks, couple linebackers, but one of the guys we worked out was Brandon Rice. Now that name sounds familiar to us in California. That sounds really familiar because he played at USC. The USC receiver, his 2 years there, he had 20 touchdowns, a little bit on the 2,000 yards. So he was a touchdown maker, but not like a big yard producer. He also played with a number of really good receivers because USC was pumping him out at that time. Um, but he was drafted by the Chargers and he bounced around the league after that. Hasn't really found a home. Maybe his greatest credit is that he's the son of Jerry Rice, who is, and anyone who knows football, he's the best receiver of all time. Definitely the most accomplished. Like just is Jerry by a pretty wide margin and everyone else. Now I grew up in the Randy Moss era, so Randy Moss is probably the best I've seen with my eyes. But historically, there's just no question. Jerry Rice is Jerry Rice. Brendan Rice is not Jerry Rice. We'll say that. If he was Jerry Rice, he wouldn't even be here. He wouldn't even have an option to be signed. Um, but I always thought that he was better than he was getting credit for. Even when he was at USC, I kept wondering because they were like, oh, a third, fourth, fifth round grade. I'm like, this guy looks pretty good to me. And part of it is he doesn't have crazy top end speed, but neither did Jerry Rice. But Jerry was just a master route runner. He played with Hall of Famers his whole career. He had all the craftiness in his game. I don't also know what Brandon's work ethic looked like. Jerry was known for, you know, high level, crazy workouts that just stressed the body so the game was easy. Like he did a lot of stuff. Brendan grew up as Jerry Rice's son. He may not have had to put that level of work in. I do think he works hard, but Jerry was, pioneer basically. And we are kind of seeing this with Marvin Harrison and Marvin Harrison Jr. too, where Marvin Harrison Sr. is in the Hall of Fame. And Marvin Harrison Jr. is talented, but he hasn't quite figured it out yet. I still think there's good football left in him. To me, he is a Juju Smith Schuster type receiver, meaning he's going to be middle of the field, possession, good hands. Probably not going to break a 40, 50-yard catch, but can break anywhere from a 10 to 25-yard catch. Can definitely be a receiver you keep in a room. And probably has a chip on the shoulder. I mean, your dad's Jerry Rice. What do you feel like? My football career is going to end at 25. My dad played until he was in his 40s and still played well. Like, I feel like there's something more there. A lot of receivers are very scheme dependent, and that sounds insulting, but it's not meant to be. There's some people that they are the system. You jump on the team and it's like, hey, I'm here now. It's like, okay, get them the ball. And there's some people that they just flourish in certain systems, like the scheme, the quarterbacks. They have that sense, that sixth sense about everything. Like Devontae Adams will probably be good at any system. Like he was good with Aaron Rodgers, came over Matt Stafford, still good. Like looks great, even as an older player. But there's some receivers where you're like, oh, they're only good with that quarterback. And so I don't know if he's going to make the roster like he worked out today. At the time he's taping this, we haven't signed him. So maybe by the time you're seeing this, we have. And I hope, and that's the case, then he's coming into a very crowded receiver room. We got a lot of guys vying for that position. And outside of, I'm guessing Jalen is locked in and Malik, and then of course our rookies. He's in a big pool with Jalen Rager and the rest of those guys where he's trying to compete for a job. Most of them haven't really distinguished themselves though. So you being in a room, if you have 2 or 3 good practices in a row, that might be enough to just be like, hey, you've moved up from ninth to fifth on the depth chart. Like it can happen quickly. I don't think the rest of those guys have been as impressive as they would have liked to be up to this point. And we only have 22 days into the season, so you're coming this late into the game. I know he doesn't know the plays. He doesn't have a playbook, so he would have to just. They would give him a very small sample to playbook, put him out there on the field, and see how he produces. And if he shows them enough, then maybe. But this is a long shot, if anything. And if he has some left in the tank, then let's see it. I would love to have him make the roster, and then maybe just to have Jerry around the team. I don't know. It can't be more invaluable to have Jerry Rice around you. We have a lot of young receivers. I mentioned the whole Keenan Allen thing. Jerry Rice is Keenan Allen, like square, square, square. Like it's it's Jerry Rice. Imagine Jerry Rice being. I don't know if they'll let him like in a room to talk to receivers and stuff, but imagine him telling young receivers how to be an NFL receiver, dude. That's like LeBron being your power forward coach, no, your small forward coach. Like, oh, is that LeBron? Cool. Tell me how to do my job. We'll see. It's a long shot, but we're rooting for the kid. All right, y'all. So this is my favorite portion of the show. This is my Kalshi deep dive that I'll do once a week, usually Thursday or Fridays. Every show I give you a pick and we just move on. This time, deeper dive. I'll do a little bit more commentary. We're going to get into the very first pick of the year, and that's the Dolphins against the Raiders. Now, I've told y'all, if you listen to the channel, that I think Miami is going to win. But according to Kalshi, the Raiders have a 65% probability to win. That is absurd. I don't even know where this is coming from. I guess they're trying to assume that Mendoza is going to play. The Raiders have already said that Kirk Cousins is going to play, even though Mendoza has outplayed him by all accounts in practice and joint practices and all that stuff. I think they very much want to keep him on the sideline for now because they know that team is not good. Ashton Genty is good, Brock Bowers is good, and Max Crosby is good. I do not think the rest of that team is good. I think their secondary is poor. I think they're bad in the secondary. And again, it's the first game of the year, so no one knows anything. But if you tell me we're starting a rookie first game, I have to believe the Dolphins defense can buck up. I have to believe that. If you can't get bucked for the first game, what are we doing? If you're telling me 508-year-old Kirk Cousins is starting the first game and we can't get the better of him with basically no main receiving targets, then what are we talking about? I've seen, just from the little bit I've seen from our offense, I think we're going to be fine. The defense, we need to be healthy. Like, let's be honest. And again, these probabilities could change. This is where we are right now. It could move. I think it's going to move a lot closer. No one believes the Dolphins are good. I mean, we've seen the polls out here. The Dolphins are going to win one game this year. Number 1 pick, Arch Manning next year. We've already seen how they feel about the Dolphins. So this makes sense because they don't think the Dolphins are going to win any games. I can almost guarantee that every week, Kalshi's going to have the Dolphins as losing. How can you not think they're going to be the worst team in the league and also not have them as being underdogs in every matchup? It seems like they kind of go hand in hand. But I've already said I have the Dolphins penciled in for 4 wins. This was one of them. And I have at least one against the Jets, and the other 2, I don't remember. But they're out there somewhere. So this is, I don't know if this is free money. That's maybe the wrong way to say it. But I think that's a crazy discrepancy. Like, we can't see the actual point spread on this picture, but they had them as 3.5-point favorites. You have them as more than a field goal favorite. Like, even that sounds crazy to me. So the probabilities are out of the whack. The point spread is out of whack. The Raiders have literally done nothing over the last couple of years to even make you think they will be good. Why would you think they would be good? There's no reason to even believe in this team. Maybe long term, if you think Mendoza's that guy. But from what I've heard, he's not playing in week 1. So are they factoring in a week 1 play and they know it's insider stuff that we don't know? I don't know. But this is I think kind of ridiculous, frankly. I'm going to be picking the Dolphins to win. That's my prediction for this. But the people on Kalshi, the people, literally, quite literally, the people in Kalshi think the Dolphins are the worst team ever, apparently, and they have us. Look at this. Just look at the graph. Like it looks like this is the Rams playing, the 2021 Jaguars. Like this spread is crazy. This is the Raiders we're talking about. What the Raiders had the number one. What are we talking about? Like, the Raiders are only in this position at number one. Whatever. It's fine. I think this is a lot. I disagree with this, but we're going to do this every week. Hopefully they're not so out of whack against our team, but this seems kind of ridiculous. I think people just don't believe in the team, but hopefully you do. And you take your predictions over to Kalshi and you make the proper picks. Don't forget the promo code FanArchFootball, and hopefully things go better for you than Kalshi believes they're going to go for us. I didn't know if I almost didn't do this story, but I thought it was necessary. Y'all know that up until last year, basically, I was a Tua fan, supporter, defender. I always thought that, Tua's he gets a raw deal, whatever. And then last year started happening, and he lost me as a fan. Like, frankly, I don't root for Tua like I did initially. When we drafted him, I was like, let's go. Like, I was super hyped on him, and then he was, the Flores era, I was like, he's not really getting a fair shake. The coach doesn't like you. He didn't want you. And then he got the coach that liked him. And then we saw some flourishing. I thought maybe still overvalued to some degree, but I still thought he should get paid. Maybe not basically 3 years guarantee, but that's a neither here nor there situation. So, of course, we were going to move on from Tua. Everybody knew that during the season. It was the open conversation was, are you going to bench Tua, trade Tua, or cut Tua during the year? Like, he had earned every bit of those conversations. He wasn't good. Like, he wasn't good. I don't know how else to say it. We saw him week after week. I feel like him and Geno Smith at one point were taking turns trying to figure out who could have the most turnovers. And Geno Smith somehow landed back into a starting job, which is just incomprehensible to me. But him and Tua week after week, we're like, neither of us want to do this anymore. We just want to get paid. And he just wasn't good. And it's not just the play. That's the thing. If the play is bad, everyone goes in a rut. We've seen that. Sometimes you just lose your confidence. Sometimes you get like the yips in golfing, right? But it wasn't that. It was all the other stuff. It was random drama. It was a lack of accountability. It was lack of awareness. I'm in real life. This is non-Dolphins Daily. One of my bigger pet peeves is people who lack awareness. This is people walking into a building with other people they don't know and they're talking on speakerphone. What are we doing? What are you doing? Get some headset or say, hey, I'll call you back in a few minutes. Just walking by. Hey, what's up? Let me tell you, it's ridiculous. What are you doing? I felt like that's what Tua was last year. Every time he got in front of the podium, I feel like he only made things worse. I'm like, dude, you can make this better. Hey guys, I played a bad game. I'll do better. I told my teammates in the locker room, it's on me. We'll get back to work on Thursday. Then we could just or Monday, and we could just move on. But nobody really played well today. Dude, you threw 4 picks. Anyway, that was kind of a tangent. I brought this up because Tua was on Sirius Satellite Radio today talking about his departure from the Dolphins, and he put his spin on it. He didn't trash the team. He said basically like he had to try to talk himself out of the idea that this hurts. Right? Nick Saban's whole thing is nothing happens to you, everything happens for you. And obviously Tua is a Nick Saban disciple. So he's trying to flip it to where it's like, okay, things didn't go my way, but it's not like things are against me. This is an opportunity. I probably needed a fresh start. I needed to get out of that city. I needed to be in a different system. It had gotten toxic. It had gotten kind of bad. But, it does hurt. Like, he didn't say it didn't hurt. He said he had to try to reframe the hurt. Yeah, it hurt both ways. Let's be honest. Fans were hurt because a lot of fans didn't want Tua to come back after his last concussion. And then a lot of fans who really supported Tua were like, "You're letting us down who are supporting you by just simply not playing well, even though you have all the talent, even though you have the right coach, even though like you're doing this to us. Like it's a mutually hurt thing because we believed in you. We thought we finally found a quarterback post Dan Marino, and then like we got a little bit of highs, and then it just started crashing. It was such a short lived high. It was like I heard people calling for Tannehill to come back. I was like, oh, what's going on here? It's like, where are we right now? But I respect the perspective of trying to make something that can be seen as a negative more positive. I get that. Um, I do think the feeling is mutual, and I don't dislike Tua, like obviously as a person or anything. And if he wants a job in Atlanta, I'm not gonna root against him. Like I don't. I'm more like I guess indifferent at this point. I think Michael Penix is better, and it would be dumb not to play him. But if Tua beats him out and is just a better player, then sure, play him. But I think the idea of Tua being a 16, 17 game starter is over. I think he's a backup until he doesn't want to be. And if he retires after next year, when the last bit of our Dolphins money runs out, I would not begrudge him. It wouldn't make sense for him really to keep putting himself in danger. He will have at that point, what, 161 million guaranteed plus his rookie contract, so over 200 million. Like if you can't set your life up off of that, you don't know how to manage money. So I wish him the best in that regard. But yeah, I respect the article, but the hurt was mutual. That's all I'm saying. The hurt was mutual. But as always, y'all, thank you for tuning in to Dolphins Daily. We appreciate the love and support. Thank y'all for the likes and the subscribes. We'll see you next time on Dolphins Daily. Peace.